today's video, we're going to go over how I target pollock at nighttime. It's a pretty warm night out here right now. We just finished having a pretty heavy rainfall. It's about 15 degrees out right now. So first things first, I'm going to find myself some bait right now. Warm, wet nights like this are the perfect conditions for finding some nice big night crawlers just crawling around on the ground. So I'll pick up a few of these and take them with me. So now, me personally, I have a worm compost at home. So I have essentially an unlimited supply of worms that I can use for bait. But the thing is, the worms that I keep in my compost, they don't get very big. Not nearly as big as these night crawlers do. And when it comes to using worms for bait, the bigger is definitely better, unless you're intentionally targeting really small fish. But yeah, I always try to get the biggest night crawlers I can. So I even have a pack of worms with me that I brought from home. But if I see any nice big night crawlers, definitely picking them up too. Yeah, there's a nice big one there. That'll be good bait. Now I'm going to show you how I'm going to set up my gear for catching them. So first I'm going to take one of these hooks here. I think that's called a bait holder hook. See how it has the barbs on the back there? Sometimes I fish them with more than one hook, but honestly I don't think it's necessary. And last night I was thinking that maybe the extra hooks might even just get in the way more than help. I'm going to put this hook on the line and suspend it. I'm going to go with about 2 feet here, maybe a little less. Use your own judgment on how far you want to suspend it off from your weight, because if you put your bait right by the bottom, if it touches the bottom or gets too close, crabs are going to bite at it and steal the bait from you. So now on the bottom, I'm going to put this rusty little nut. Just going to tie that on there for a weight. I don't need much weight for where I'm fishing, but how much weight you use will depend on how far you need to cast and how deep the water is and a few other factors. So if you're not sure, just bring a few different sizes. You should be all right. So just attach that on with a clinch knot, make sure it's snug, and now we're ready to get baited up. So I'm basically just throwing as much worm on the hook as I can, making sure it's on there pretty good, hooked more than once, and definitely making sure that the sharp point is poking out. You don't want it to be buried, because then when they go to bite it, it probably won't suck the hook. There we go. So now I'll give you a look of the area I'm about to be fishing. So it's a nice small little canal here. It ends right there, and upstream is fresh water, but all this area is salt water, and mackerel and pollock at certain times of the year, they'll come right through here to feed. So it's not very deep here, so I'm not going to need much for weight, and I'm not going to need to cast very far. So yeah, that small little rusted nut is probably going to be plenty. So now while I'm here fishing them, I can keep casting and retrieving slowly. because they might be triggered by the movement. If they see it floating through the water, they'll go for it and bite it, right? But they'll also bite it if you just leave it and let it float there above the bottom. If you're fishing in deeper water though, you might want to try a bit of both, because they could be floating, they could be swimming closer to the surface, or they could be closer to the bottom. You never really know, right, until you find out. So just keep mixing it up, and whatever one you're having luck with, just keep trying that until they stop biting. On a night like tonight though, after a heavy rainfall, the water tends to get pretty murky here, so a lot of the fish that rely more heavily on sight won't be as active in the murky water, because they can't see the food, can't see the bait, whatever, right? But sometimes in the murky water, the fish that are more attracted to the scent of bait will come out, because they're more, they know they're more concealed and safer, right? So I haven't had any luck yet on the first few casts, but I'm gonna cast my line out there and just let it sit and see if anything will go for it. Because I think because of the murky water, the cast and retrieve method's not gonna work for me. You should always be really careful casting at night. If you're not confident in your casting abilities, that's definitely something to keep in mind, because when it's this dark out, there's no way to tell. You can't see where your line goes. You just have to know how far you're casting. And yeah, try not to hook yourself. And definitely always bring an extra source of light, in case you bring one flashlight and it dies. You don't want to have to do any of this in the dark. Yeah, we just had a big bite on there a second ago. I didn't catch it in time. I went to reach for the rod, but it already went slack by the time I grabbed it. So yeah, I'm gonna put another worm on there. We're gonna try this again. That's exciting. I was starting to get worried that this murky water meant they weren't gonna be biting, but I guess that's not the case. We're gonna put another night crawler on here and give it another cast out. Since I'm in an urban setting here with a lot of lights around, I don't really need that much light to see what I'm doing. I definitely like having a flashlight and a headlamp for when I gotta tie knots and, you know, look in the water or something like that. If you're fishing in more or less complete darkness and you really don't want to waste your battery life just shining it at your rod to see if you're getting a bite, one idea you could use is bring some glow sticks with you, clip a glow stick right onto your rod, and then you'll see the glow stick bounce around in the darkness, right? And when you see that movement, that's when you know you're getting a bite. So that could be a good indicator in the dark, right? So when I'm fishing a spot like this where I can see right down into the water, as tempting as it is, I don't turn my headlamp on when I'm trying to catch fish, because although some fish may be attracted to light, if you're wearing a headlamp or shining a flashlight and waving it around, the movement of the light is actually going to scare the fish away. So if you know, if you're wearing a headlamp and say you're casting and retrieving and you're pulling your line in, the fish might be following it. I've seen this happen plenty of times. They'll follow it in, and then as soon as you shine the light on them, they'll dart off. And yeah, so I just keep the light off until I hook a fish. I'll shine the light on and, you know, game time. It's also worth mentioning that in Nova Scotia, if you're fishing in non-tidal water, that it is illegal to use a light while you're fishing. You know, you're not allowed to shine it in the water to attract the fish or to see them or whatever. So whenever you're fishing and just leaving your rod like this, obviously you don't want to leave it unattended and walk away. But even if you're standing close by or even right next to it, I would suggest loosening the drag just enough that if you pull it, it'll, you know, line will come out of the reel instead of flipping the rod over the edge, right? But the thing is, if you loosen it too much, when you go to set the hook, it'll be too loose to set the hook. So you know, there's a sweet point where you want just loose enough that it'll be able to take line instead of take your rod, right? And I mean, if you want to take the risk and not do that, that's up to you. But you know, there is always the chance that you lose your gear. So when I'm fishing with bait and I'm just letting it sit out there, every couple minutes I'll give it like a little tug, see if anything's on there, and then I'll give it like half a turn. I'll do that every couple minutes. So I went to check my bait. I went to give it a little pull, and I noticed there's something heavier on there. So we might have the first crab of the night here. Yep, called it. That. There's two crabs on it. Both, they're like fighting for it. Look at that. All that much space from the weight, and they still crawled up the line somehow and got it. That one's got a little piece in its mouth. Come on, buddy. Yeah, I guess he could keep it for sure. Oh, look at that. Stole most of my bait. Alright, let's give this another cast. Feel like I got another crab on there now. Yup. So these green crabs here, they're actually pretty invasive species here. I feel like the DFO should just open up open season on these guys so we can deal with them, because yeah, nobody really uses them for anything, and you're not allowed to keep them, but they're bad for the ecosystem. We don't want them here. That's a bite. That's a fish on. Nice. Oh yeah. Oh, come on now. Yeah, there's a fish. Nice. There's a nice pollock. Right on. That's what we're after. There it is. Nice pollock. We're gonna keep this guy. I just wanted to mention that I've been trying to get in the habit of cleaning them while I'm out fishing, because I find when I spend like hours out fishing or whatever, I'll usually be fishing until I just run out of energy, right? So the end of the day, the last thing I want to do is have to clean like a whole bunch of fish, right? So I find it's easier if I just clean them on the go, and then I never end up with more fish than I'm ready to have to deal with that in one night, right? Saves me the hassle, you know, and it saves me potentially forgetting to do it and then having something spoil on me. That'd just be terrible, right? So that's basically it. So I like to use worms because they're free and they're easy for me to access most of the time, right? The night crawlers are easy to access on the right nights, but you know, the smaller worms, I can get them anytime, and they work fine. I just hook like 5 or 6 of them on the hook, and it's a nice big clump of worms, right? But you can use, you know, use just about anything for bait, right? Within reason, of course. You know, you use clams, you could use little strips of fish like mackerel or other pollock or whatever, you know. You definitely use squid. Squid's a really good bait, honestly. But there's really no need spending the money on any of that. If you're able to just get yourself some worms, definitely works. And I can't really say for sure any of them are better, because they all work. So yeah, that's basically it. So I guess let's see if I can catch any more. Oh yeah, got a fish on. Nice. Yeah. There we go. There's another pollock. I hope you liked today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave some comments, and I hope we see you in the next video.